Nandi, Nutembo, Ondatue. She joined SWAPO at the age of 14.
Both of our countries are producers of uranium. Namibia in particular, we are third uranium producers in the world. And there's no reason why we cannot talk about nuclear energy.
Iconic. Because what is a 14-year-old girl? You know, that tells you a lot about her personality actually. The fact that she was 14, a girl, and yet she had that much interest. It just intrigues me about the kind of family that she was born under. Most likely there was somebody there who allowed her to express herself to the point where she felt free enough to go and join a coalition movement against an oppressive government. Like, slay. And girl power. In the 1800s, Germany looked to the sky and said, "This land is not enough, Lord. We need more." And I'm very sure it's not Jesus in the Bible that they're talking to, because who sent you? And they looked and looked and they said, "Oh, Namibia." I'm very sure they had one of those meetings with the von Heims and the von Dosch and the Bush, and they all sat around the round table and said, "What more lands can we conquer?" And somebody said, and they said, "Speak louder." Namibia. And they said, okay, you know what? We're gonna check her out. They checked her out. She looked good, very nice. Sassy little thing, you know what I'm saying? Had everything they wanted, resource-wise. The people didn't really care for her, but you know what? They said, hey, we're gonna rule, we're gonna dominate. Normal, usual foreign power activity. They came down to Germany and they came down to Namibia, and instead of dominating in a way where you could take the resources, leave some for the people. I mean, if we're going to just talk about evil for evil, leave some for the people, leave the people alone. You don't really have to do anything to them, and just do what you got to do. But I'm very sure when they came to Namibia, the people were like, hell no, this is our land. And they're like, yeah, we know, we just don't care. And they took over and stole the resources and committed a lot of atrocities, just like they did in Congo. Was it Congo? No, Congo was Belgium. They all sound the same to me. German, Belgium could as well be family members, brothers, stepbrothers, cousins. I don't care. So they came, took resources, started slaughtering these people like rats for experiments. And I'm actually serious when I say experiments. Like, they would slaughter people and send body parts back all the way to Germany for experimentation. So, see, they were preparing in advance for what they were going to do to the Jews. You know what I'm saying? It's just a long line of atrocities. I don't know how to phrase this. So anyways, a time came where Germany's colonies collapsed, and they said, "We finna leave you. We finna leave you, but we don't want to just leave you like that. No, we finna hand you over to another foreign dominated country in Africa, so that it will look like it's a good thing, but in reality it's not. And then we're going to go back to our country and monitor things from over there." So yes, Germany handed over Namibia, who had seen a lot of shege, horror and atrocities at this point, and they handed it over to South Africa. Now, why didn't anybody tell me that Namibia got freed from one form of colonialism and got handed over to South Africa? I'm talking apartheid, Mandela, South Africa. But chill, because at that time, South Africa's president was not what I would call, ethnically South African. He was a white dude who was born in Johannesburg. And he continued the system of apartheid. So when Namibia came under his rule, their sufferings did not cease. It continued, because it was just one form of dominating power to the other. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so it got to a point in this whole toxic, deadly love story. This is not even a love story. This is actual nonsense and sad and miserable and just a lot of things. But I just don't want to make this a sad video. I can recognize horror and just try to. I don't even know what I'm trying to do. I just don't. Africa is just in a lot. All right, it's heavy. It's sad. It's Like why? And you don't have all of the answers. So that's for whatever that was. Anyway, so Namibia under Germany, Namibia now under South Africa. Namibia doesn't get any better. They continue to struggle for their freedom. And, I think it got to a point where the UN, the United Nations, which as far as I'm concerned, 90% really useless in things like this. So they declared that Namibia could become an independent state. But yet, South African troops defied that order and they still stayed in Namibia, and this was when SWAPO was born because Namibia said, I know damn well that I heard that we are free, and now you people are saying that we are not free. Now I ain't gonna fly. That's not gonna fly with us. So SWAPO, which is South West Africa People Organization, was born. Basically was a coalition movement against the ruling authorities, which at this time was South Africa. I don't know if they had been incorporated before South Africa in Germany, under Germany's rule. I'm not quite sure, but I think I'll just research and find out if, yeah. So Namibia was like, yeah, we're not punks. You finna go. You heard what they said. Go. So the next president of South Africa came into power. His name is F.W. Clark. The reason why I'm adding into the story because he intrigued me. Very interesting man. When he came into power, the ethnic South Africans, is that the right word to use? The original South Africans were also struggling in their land against, white leadership. When you read it, it looks like, oh, they are original South Africans. No, they're just white men that were born there. And now they are leading a South Africa that just came out of apartheid rule. In fact, the time that F.W. Clark came to power, apartheid system was still in full effect. People were still fighting against it. If you don't understand what apartheid is, it's basically a system of segregation that discriminates against, black people. That's the simplest definition. So when Clark came to power, a lot of people were angry because they were just like, he's coming to power. Who says it's going to be different? It's not going to be different. Like, what's that? You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, Clark came in and he wanted to do things differently. So there's a lot of things he did. Usually you could not protest during that time in South Africa because you're going to get shot, killed, imprisoned, a lot of things. But, Clark allowed them to protest. He allowed a lot of things. And he helped in dismantling the root, let's say the root, but he helped in dismantling the apartheid system to an extent, right? He collaborated with people, figures like John Jacob Zuma. Sorry, I'm mixing these things up. Jacob Zuma, and then some other iconic figures that struggled against apartheid regime. Like he was in constant conversations with them. Now, to say that he was a perfect white savior would just be me lying because the conversation is more nuanced than that. But anyways, the reason why he's in this story is because he recognized what the UN had said that the former president did not hear. Set Namibia free. Withdraw South African troops. Did I stutter? So Clark said, you didn't stutter. I'm going to help. I'm going to do this. And he did. This was how Namibia got their freedom 35 years ago. I'm almost 30. 35 years ago is not that far behind. We talking 1990s. That's when Namibia came into their own independence. There's a problem I feel with Nigeria, Africa as a whole, where I don't know for other countries, but in my country, history is not really, really taught anymore. Yeah, that's basically what I want to see. Like, we don't know a lot of these things. We just see some things and we're just like, oh, but then there's just so much history and culture and a lot of things to be looked at so that you can understand the grander picture. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, back to SWAPO. Now, SWAPO was born and so was this iconic woman I'm about to talk about. Nandi Nutembo Ondatue. Forgive me if I butchered her name. Her journey to presidency was a very long one. She joined SWAPO at the age of 14. Iconic. Because what is a 14-year-old girl? That tells you a lot about her personality actually. The fact that she was 14, a girl, and yet she had that much interest. It just intrigues me about the kind of family that she was born under. Most likely there was somebody there who allowed her to express herself to the point where she felt free enough to go and join a coalition movement against an oppressive government. Like slay and girl power. Anyways, much like Samia Suluhu of Tanzania, but very differently. She climbed up in power, serving as deputy minister in one regard, prime minister, then minister of international relations, and then I think minister of tourism. I'm not quite sure if I'm mixing them up. So anyway, she served in a lot of capacities. So even before she became president, she had a lot of political history, you know what I'm saying? Like more than just serving in this capacity, she did a lot of things for women. One of her first, acts that she pushed for was the Act of the Marital Rights, where she, enacted a law that protected women maritally. The law actually allowed married women to be entitled to a lot of things that they were not entitled to before, which was quite weird to me. And then another law that she pushed for was a law against gender-based violence. Now, if you notice, when you look at regions that have been under colonial masters, when they newly came out of um, colonialism and transitioned into independence, if not properly guided, a lot of things happen, like inequality in terms of land, and it becomes a survival system where usually women and children are more vulnerable, and the men are just going at each other like dogs and trampling on the women and children. That's usually what happens. So when NNN, as they like to call her, was serving in all these her capacities, she enacted a law against gender-based violence. One of the things that she also did for married women was to also enact laws against rape in marriage. Like she really fought for women and children to be protected, and I love that about her. Like, yeah. And so finally, she came into power, and first of all, her cabinet.
Not one, not two, but 3 women now sit at the helm of Namibia. Namibia has literally just made history as the first country in the entire world where women hold the top 3 leadership positions: president, vice president, and speaker of the National Assembly.
So when I saw her cabinet, I was like, ooh, there's a lot of girls in here, there's a lot of bodies in here. Like, what's happening? Like, she has a lot of women in cabinet, and these are not just random women. These are women who has also had political history like her and are qualified. Because for me, it's not about lining everybody up in here with all women. No, 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 no. Tanzania's president already scarred me. Like, I'm not about that. Oh, let's represent women more. No, 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 no. Regardless of gender, let's have qualified people who can do their job into power. Let's not do this based on gender anymore, because she scarred me. Oh my God. To show you that NNN doesn't play, one of her ministers, the Minister of Agriculture, was allegedly accused of rape and bribery, and she said, "Get out now." She said, "Get out," and she cut him loose. So we're not playing. If you want to be my minister, you have to represent me, in ministerial duties and morally. Because what do you mean? A minister was involved in a rape case, and he tried to cover it up, and she was like, "No, we're not gonna go for that. Be gone." Be gone. I love what she's been doing, because she came into a time of power in Namibia, in a time where there's a lot of unemployment, right? So a lot of weight is on her to prove that she can do the job. And so far so good. She's been doing wonderfully well. She's invested in a lot of clean energy projects. She's had a lot of foreign partnerships and investments. She's even gone to the point of saying, hey, there's going to be free schools in 2026 for Namibians. To prove that she was very serious, all the way back in 2025, the government kept aside a large sum of money that was going to finance this free university, free school project initiative, right? So far so good. She's making the right strides. Another part of Namibia that was funny and interesting to me was when she came into power and she said, "Hey, Germany, do you remember me? The ex that you looted and robbed and caused a lot of horrors to? Yeah, hey, we're finna run it back. You finna give us apology and moolah for the nonsense that you did." And honestly, at this point, Germany owes all of us an apology and some money, because what type of time were you on all the way back Like, you all were just a bunch of greedy people who is very, very interesting to see Germans now versus then, because now Germans are, you know, displayed as people that chill, keep their cool, mind their business. But that's not how you all were moving back in the past. But you know what? She said, you finna run it back and give us some money and pay us for all the pain that you cost us. And Germany, to their credit, said, you know what? Yeah, we finna do that. And I saw a video of, I think, one of the prime ministers or something. I'm not quite sure. A government representative coming out to basically recognize the atrocities that were done. But wait, before it got to that point, Namibia kept throwing shots at Germany, like, you're gonna acknowledge what you did, because at first they were not gonna acknowledge it. And they said, no, you can acknowledge what you did. So finally they did, and then they also promised to give an over 1 billion euro developmental aid to Namibia. So that partnership is where some of these clean energy projects have been popping out from. There's still some strain within their relationship, but so far so good. At least they got some money out of it, I guess. Although NNN was like, we need more than that, but so far so good. I like the results I'm seeing. Now, there is no government without criticism, and NNN, as iconic as she is to me for now, because we don't know what's going to happen in year 2, 3, 4. But anyways, they said something about LGBTQ rights and abortions. I don't know if you guys watched the previous video where I said Africa is not a nation right now. Well, let me not speak for all of Africa, but certain countries in Africa are not places where you would go to expect certain things. Why? Because we are just trying to get food to eat. We are literally just coming out of being whipped and tied in chains and beaten and facing all kinds of corrupt government and foreign interference. It is a privilege to be able to fight for certain things. I'm telling you. In a nation where people are barely trying to eat, in a nation like Namibia where statistically over 60% of the youths are unemployed, and that's what the president is trying to fight for, why do you think that she would be concerned about certain things like LGBT rights? Do you know that these things are a function of privilege? Like, you don't have to worry about school, you don't have to worry about light, you don't have to worry about the road you're going to pass on, you don't have to worry about certain things. You're not in survival mode. Do you understand? It is only when you're not in survival mode that's when you have time to think about certain things. Are you aware that to fight for rights, the fact that you can fight for the right of a cat, a dog, you are privileged? Because we're still trying to eat over here. We don't know where the next bread is coming from. So this criticism against our government, when she just entered into power, which they are already talking about rights. We're still trying to get to human rights first. Then we can look at other things. Besides, the country, their rules. What's all these talks? Anyway, sir, that's just my personal opinion. What do I think of NNN and our government? So far, so good. It seems they are taking the strides in the right direction, and I pray that they continue in that path. You know what I'm saying? I really look forward to seeing how the youth is brought out of the current state of disenfranchisement and unemployment and all of that. So, the free school thing is to encourage people to come into school, learn, get a trade, and then be able to be placed in various upcoming opportunities inflowing into the country, because the clean energy and the other partnerships that she has made are going to obviously make jobs available. If you do not know what a job entails, because you did not go to school, you're not going to get the job. So that's why I feel like her making schools free is actually a step in the right direction, if you get what I'm saying. Right? So she's still new, she's already doing a lot of good things. So far so good. So yeah, she's one. Namibia has a country to watch. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you on another episode for another day. Toodles.